Well, at Baitworks HQ, we get questions after questions regarding bait preparation. Now, it's going to be a bit of a regular thing, so I think that we're going to have a quick 5-minute tips on questions that are asked through our social media channels and email. And I think because we get so many of these similar type questions, we'll tackle them in little short 5-minute videos. And this is the first one of hopefully many. So the question we get asked all the time is, how do you get the best out of liquids and powders, particularly when coating boilies? It's one that's been covered numerous times by lots of different people, but it's still a question that comes up. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to run you through a kilo of boilies and the best way to prepare them, to pimp them up if you like, to get loads and loads of more attraction. So there's lots of common mistakes that I see all the time when preparing bait, and I'm going to run you through some of those, and I'm going to tell you how I prepare them, and I find I get the best out of all the liquids and the powders. Now, to start off with, I'm going to take a kilo of bait. So a kilo of bait, obviously you can use whatever boilies you choose, but I match this up with the associated sinking dip or glug, food-based, and then I match it up with an oil. And these play two very, very important functions. You've got the liquid food base, which, if you think of it a bit like milk, it will cloud and surround the baited area, generally at a low level, so around, as soon as the bait hits the bottom, it clouds up off the bottom. And then you have your oils. Now, all oils will float. They all have varying different degree of buoyancies, but essentially those oils will come up off the baited area, rise up to the top, lovely little flat spot, and then drift off. So two liquids, two very different liquids, but play hugely important roles. And it's no good just having one. So just having the attraction either on the bottom or have just the attraction coming up through and drifting off. By combining the two oils and liquids, food-based dips, you're getting the cloud on the bottom, but you're dragging some of those food signals up through the water columns as well. And when a carp comes through, they're locking onto that and descending down onto the baited area. So really, really important. Now, the powders. These are really, really important to get right. By adding a powder to the pre-soaked boilies, both in those two liquids that I've talked about, you then can form a crust around it. And I see the most common mistake I see is people trying to do this on the day of when they're fishing. And what will happen is, as soon as you put the boilie out into the water via a spom, throwing stick or whatever, or catapult, as that descends through the water, that layer of powders comes off almost instantly, and the liquids are starting to wash off because you've done it so close to when you're putting it out. You need, to get the best out of this, I find you need 24 hours in advance, ideally, or the night before. Gives everything time to soak into the boilie and also to dry that crust around the outside, which is really important when you put the bait out, so everything gets to the bottom before you start seeing that reaction and that cloud and the oil and everything else coming off the bait as well. Now, in terms of quantities, I'm going to keep it really simple. A kilo of bait, I would generally use about 50 to 75 ml of oil and about 50 to 75 ml of food-based liquid. Combined, you're getting about 100 and 150 ml. That will coat a kilo adequately. Be loads of liquid. And all I do, simply pour the boilies into a bucket, and then you start adding both liquids. Now, you can add them at the same time. It's not going to make too much difference because they're going straight on. But what is important is they've been left to cure over that 24 hours period. So both liquids go in, you give the boilies a good mix. You want to make sure everything is coated, everything is also, all your baits are shiny or glistening, a bit like Maltesers. And then you can start applying the powder. Now, there's a whole host of powders on the market. I really like the krill powder because not only is it very attractive to fish, but also it's quite light and it's got some buoyancy to it with air. So if you was to put krill into the water, you would notice some of it would suspend, some of it would float, some of it would sink. So you want that coming off your baited area. So by adding krill powder, you can like fur them up almost, a bit like a bomb, and that will coat the bait, and importantly, it dries really, really well and soaks up that liquid content that you've put in there. So that's all it is, really, really simple. You do it the night before, leave them overnight, and when you come the next day for baiting up or putting them out in the spom or wherever you're going to deliver the bait, that will ensure everything's getting to the bottom very quickly, and then the reaction started, and you've got lots of these. Not only you've got oil coming up through the water, you've got the food-based dip, which is being dragged up through the water, but also you've got tiny little powders coming off the bait, little fragments, and they come up through the water as well, so you've got a hugely attractive column. That's the best way to do the coating of your boilies, and that method has caught so many fish, not only for myself but loads of people associated with Baitworks, and it's a tried and trusted method.